Welcome, welcome, welcome to Leadershipisation, all things leadership. My name is Beth Bergen and I'm a global leadership and communication coach. I am here on this platform most Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Hey, over the last few weeks, leadership intelligence has been our overarching topic. And last week, we looked at one of the really important skill sets for leadership intelligence, and that was active listening. What I promised you was that because it's such a vital skill, today I'm going to dig a little deeper to consolidate your learning. And what that means is that we'll have a bit of a look at what are some of the skills that you need, what types of active listening might there be, what are the benefits of active listening, and really importantly, we're going to really dig down, hammer in, consolidate those techniques so that you have the opportunity to practice these, start putting them into practice right away. So let's look at the skills first. Now, there are 6 of these. I'm going to go through them one at a time for you. The first one of these is to pay attention. Now, I know that kind of seems pretty basic. It's a really important component of active listening. Focus on now, wait, give people the space, don't cut them off, respect their opinion, and actually maintain that eye contact. All of those things combined will start to set up those foundations for active listening. The second one is you need to enter the conversation or be there listening without judgment. Without judgment. This is really important. Really important. Bring to the conversation an open mind. Be ready to listen to new perspectives. Be willing to not interrupt the person, just let them keep speaking. And make sure that your body language is open, that you are interested in looking at them, that you're not all sitting there all hunched up like this, not showing any kind of interest whatsoever. Yeah. The third one is reflect. You've listened. What is important that you do once you've listened, or whenever the opportunity arises, without interrupting, because we've learned that we don't interrupt. It's about paraphrasing those key points. Now, this isn't about you parroting back at them what they just said to you, because we run out of, that doesn't feel good after a bit. This is about you in your own words, actually paraphrasing those key points back to them. Then what you're able to do is to validate the emotions that they might be feeling. And often what that can mean, and this is one of the skills of active listening, what that can mean is that you've got to assist them to label their feelings. And I gave a great example of that last week when I talked about the person being a bit concerned about the interview. And rather than you saying, oh, yeah, I was really bad the first few interviews that I did, but then I got great at it, it's actually about you identifying, it can be a really harrowing experience. What is it that's bothering you? So it's helping them to actually label those feelings. Number 4 is to clarify. Now, this is all about those curious questions. It's all about asking those curious questions. Let me check to make sure that I'm understanding you properly. I'm not exactly following what you're saying. Please go through that again. And the important thing here is that you remind yourself that you are asking. Curious questions are about asking. They're not about you telling. It's not about you saying, this is how it is. This is what I'm thinking. Is this what you're thinking? Active listening is listening to their perspective, whether you agree with it or not. Yep. Number 5 is to summarize. You want to be able to summarize. So this is at the end, restating the key themes, restating just in it, not taking that long, but just in some concise sentences, restating those key themes so that you're able to confirm your understanding. Now, if you've got it wrong, they'll let you know. Make sure you give them that opportunity to let you know. And finally, number 6 in these actual skills is share. This is all about when having listened to them, you start to introduce your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own ideas. And because you've clarified and been receptive and you've reflected and you've summarized, people will be much more receptive to hearing your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, if they feel understood, if they feel as though they have been actually listened to. So that makes quite a difference. And from there, what you're able to do with your sharing is move on to problem solving. And that's all about, again, those curious questions. What did we assume here? What assumptions have we made about the issue? What haven't we tried? What could we do differently? Those kinds of things, so that you've actively listened, you've moved them to a state where they're much more receptive to you because they feel understood, and you can begin dealing with the issue that they've shared with you. Now, you're a leader already or an aspiring leader. I want to share with you a really important point here. This is really important. Your credibility will absolutely skyrocket with your team when you listen really well and then you take action. You listen really well and then you take action. Those two things combined, your credibility will just absolutely soar. So that's an important point for you to remember. Okay, more about active listening then. There are actually 4 types of listening that we can be doing. And I just want to very quickly go through these because each of these would be quite a long conversation by themselves. But the first one is empathic. And this is when you're listening to understand. You might be listening to a personal story that someone's telling you, so you're focused on that other person. Now, we've already talked before about how quite often what happens is that we're listening, waiting to one up the person. We're listening, waiting to say, oh, I've got a better story than you've got. That's not active listening. That's like a competition. Listening with empathy, I can't say the other word, I keep thinking it's empathetic and it's not, it's empathic listening, is actually being focused on the other person and hearing their story and feeling those feelings. You're listening to understand. That's the first style. The second one is appreciative. And this is where what you're doing is you're listening to enjoy yourself. So this might be listening to comedy, listening to a motivational speaker, listening to music, listening to a play. You're listening to appreciate what it is that you're hearing. The third one is comprehensive listening. Now, when we adopt this style, it's all about we're learning something new. So if we were listening to a podcast, or if we're listening to the news, or we're in a classroom, we're in a boot camp or something like that, then what we're doing is listening so that we can comprehend it. And the fourth and final one here is critical listening. And this is where what we're doing is we're actually listening to form an opinion. We're listening so that we can identify, this is what we think about what someone says. So a great example of this is if you're in you've gone to the shops and you're wanting to buy something, and you're being sold that item. You're listening to form an opinion of what they're saying. and the kinds of questions that you would ask in that situation would be quite different from the comprehensive, the appreciative, or the empathic. I just can't say that word. That's terrible. I should have practiced it before I came on here. I really apologise. I'll get it right. So the important thing is that here, what you realise is, it was almost like if you were debating someone. If what you're having is a robust conversation and you're wanting to examine all viewpoints, then you're going to be critically listening. So all of these either build your skills or build deeper understanding of others, which is what gives you stronger relationships. So a quick reminder, active listening, what are the benefits? I want to run through these quickly again for you so that you've got them there. Improved communication, more collaboration, deeper understanding, deeper connection, easier ability to resolve conflicts. It's an opportunity for you to demonstrate your empathy and you're building trust and rapport. Active listening is a vital leadership intelligence skill. So let's review some of the techniques that we've already looked at. The reason I'm going over them again is because very often we need to hear these things 2, 3, 4, 5 or more times to make them stick. Now, you're all going into a bit of an opportunity between Christmas and New Year to kind of pause and practice some of these things. If you're out of the workforce or whether you are going to work over this time frame, if you're with family or friends or workmates, it's a great opportunity to try these things. So let's review them again. First one is fully present and attentive. Eye contact, make sure that your focus is on the person, make sure that your voice, the language that you're using, the tone of your voice indicates that you're interested. The second one is positive body language, both verbal and non-verbal. So that smile, nod, lean in, make sure that what you're doing all the time is appearing to be interested in what's happening. The third one, and this can be difficult, particularly in family situations, particularly with friends, you already know that you're going to disagree with them. And so instead of actively listening, we withdraw and we start to plan our next response. We're going to argue better than they are. So try avoiding that judgment and that interruption and allow them to fully express what they have to say. And because you're pausing and waiting and allowing that to happen, you might find that they run out of steam a little earlier than they would have if you keep the banter going by interrupting all the time. Next one, paraphrase and reflect. Restate those main points in your own words and then get into the clarifying, the curious, the open-ended questions. And that allows you to encourage them to elaborate on their thoughts. So tell me some more about that. So imagine saying to your crazy relative or someone that you think is crazy, imagine saying to them, rather than that banter, that arguing backwards and forwards, say, oh, tell me more about that. They'll be really surprised. They'll be really surprised. You will be able to have a better, robust conversation if you fully understand the whole picture about what their perspective is. Another question that could go there is, what made you choose that option, or what made you choose that version, or what made you choose that process? The next one is to validate those to validate their emotions and their perspectives. Now, we want to do this so that it remains a safe space for you to have further conversations, to have further communication. 2 more to go here. Try really hard not to give advice. Try really hard not to give advice unless you're asked for it. The idea with the active listening is that you are listening to understand, not to solve the problem, unless they ask you to. Now, for a lot of males, that's a really hard thing to do because we're problem solvers. So batten down, suppress that desire to be the solution, and actually listen for understanding without giving that advice. Final thing, summarize all of those key points and take some action. As I said before, that will totally score you lots of brownie points because you're actually listening, validating, understanding, and then taking some action to get things happening. Now, as I said before, use Christmas and New Year to pause to practice. I know you'll be out there resting and relaxing and reconnecting and recalibrating. If you've listened to the replay, please put #replay below. If you've got any questions or comments about the active listening that we've covered today, please pop them on this platform and we'll get back to you. If you think you can take advantage or you will gain benefit from individual or group coaching with me, please reach out and I'm more than happy to let you know about the services that I offer. In the meantime, have a blessed, relaxing and peaceful Christmas. Stay safe. Bye now.